जलाए ज्ञान की, स्वाध्याय की अनुसंधान की राह दिखाए वंचितों को, शिक्षा के अधिकार की ना उम्र का कोई बंधन, ना बंदिश परिधि। घर घर में बना शिक्षा का देवालय, ये जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय, जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय। जन जन का मान है, सम्मान है, पहचान है, जन जन का मान सम्मान पहचान है। राष्ट्र का मान है, वरदान है, अभिमान है, राष्ट्र का मान वरदान अभिमान है। सर्वसुलभ सर्वोत्तम शिक्षा का है वादा, मुक्त और दूरस्थ शिक्षा का महान, ये जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय, जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय। देश विदेश पटल पर भूषित नवाचार से सज्जित, गुणवत्ता से परिपूरित, ज्ञानवाणी ज्ञान दर्शन, ज्ञान कोश से संचित, ज्ञान कोश से संचित, सर्वगुण संपन्न शिक्षा का हिमालय, शिक्षा का हिमालय। ये जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय, जन जन का विश्वविद्यालय।
धन्यवाद संजय जी। जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान पर सारा देश और इस देश से बाहर रहने वाले भारतवासी भी, भारत की जड़ों से जुड़े लोग भी भारत की स्वतंत्रता का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहे हैं। इसी परिप्रेक्ष्य में इग्नू के स्वाधीनता संग्राम तथा प्रवासी अध्ययन केंद्र ने यह निश्चय किया कि हम 75 व्याख्यानों की श्रृंखला आयोजित करेंगे और इन 75 व्याख्यानों की श्रृंखला में आज हम 44वीं पायदान पर खड़े हैं। सबसे पहले मैं इस अवसर पर अपने विश्वविद्यालय के संरक्षक और हम सबके अभिभावक माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी का अभिनंदन करता हूं, उनको नमस्कार करता हूं। आज के कार्यक्रम की वह अध्यक्षता भी कर रहे हैं, मैं उनका स्वागत करता हूं। सर की प्रेरणा से और इन्हीं के साहस और संबल देने से हम लोग लगातार यह कार्यक्रम कर पा रहे हैं। आज के कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि हैं प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी। सर, मैं आपको भी नमस्कार करता हूं और आपको अभिनंदन करता हूं, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। आज प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी वैश्विक विज्ञान के विकास में भारत की भूमिका, रोल ऑफ इंडिया इन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ग्लोबल साइंस विषय पर अपनी बात रखेंगे और हम सब उनके इस विशेष व्याख्यान से लाभान्वित होंगे। मैं अपने विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय समकुलपति और स्वाधीनता संग्राम तथा प्रवासी अध्ययन केंद्र के निदेशक आदरणीय प्रोफेसर सत्यकाम जी का भी स्वागत करता हूं, उनको नमस्कार करता हूं। इन्हीं के श्रमसाध्य परिश्रमों से और इनके प्रोएक्टिव अप्रोच से हम लोग लगातार नए नए तरह के काम इस सेंटर के द्वारा कर पाते हैं और यह श्रृंखला भी इन्हीं के कुशल निर्देशन में चल रही है। मैं अपने विश्वविद्यालय के सभी माननीय समकुलपतियों को भी नमस्कार करता हूं, उनका स्वागत करता हूं और आज के कार्यक्रम में जो लोग उपस्थित हैं सबको नमस्कार करता हूं, सबका स्वागत करता हूं। और अब बिल्कुल विलंब न करते हुए आज के स्वागत वक्तव्य के लिए मैं अपने विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय समकुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर सत्यकाम जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं।
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर तिवारी। आज के मुख्य अतिथि और व्याख्याकार आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी, माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी जो आज का अध्यक्षीय संबोधन करेंगे, निदेशक विद्यापीठ, हमारे सभी साथी समकुलपति, क्षेत्रीय केंद्र के सभी क्षेत्रीय निदेशक, अध्यापकों, विद्यार्थियों और सभी उपस्थित साथियों, आज हमारे लिए एक गौरव का विषय है कि हम 44वीं श्रृंखला में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, 44वें पायदान की, जो एक अमृत महोत्सव की संकल्पना हमने की है 75 व्याख्यान कराने की। तो मैं सबसे पहले यह बताना चाहता हूं कि आज का जो व्याख्यान है वह व्याख्यान प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्र जी देंगे। परसों सर का फोन आया था कि क्या इसे आगे की ओर स्थगित किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में कुछ बंदिश हो गई थी और कार्यालय बंद थे। लेकिन मैंने करबद्ध प्रार्थना की सर से कि सर, आपको सुनने के लिए लोगों ने अपना शेड्यूल बनाया हुआ है, हम सब आपको सुनना चाहते हैं। तो सर ने कहा ठीक है, बहुत सहजता से। और देखिए सर आज अपने दफ्तर में मौजूद हैं, तमाम संकटों को झेलते हुए, रिस्क लेते हुए। मैं प्रणाम करता हूं और स्वागत करता हूं सर। प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्र जी एक बहुत बड़े वैज्ञानिक हैं। हमारे विश्वविद्यालय में लगातार विभिन्न गोष्ठियों में, कार्यक्रमों में और मुख्य नीति निर्धारण में, चाहे वो एकेडमिक काउंसिल हो, बोर्ड ऑफ मैनेजमेंट हो, कहीं हो, आपका हमेशा आगमन होता रहता है। और आप हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के निर्माण पथ पर हमेशा हमें अपना मार्ग निर्देशित करते रहते हैं। एक बहुत बड़े वैज्ञानिक हैं आप, और रसायन शास्त्री हैं बहुत बड़े आप। बहुत सारे पुरस्कार, बहुत सारे सम्मान आपको मिले हुए हैं। शायद इतने सम्मानों को, इतनी उपलब्धियों को मैं इस 5 मिनट के अपने वक्तव्य में समेट न सकूं, इसके लिए मैं सर से माफी चाहता हूं। संक्षिप्त में मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि सर ने प्रोफेसर ऑफ केमिस्ट्री के रूप में अप्रैल 1983 से अध्यापन किया है दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में, और आप संस्थापक निदेशक भी हैं डॉक्टर B.R. अम्बेडकर सेंटर फॉर बायोमेडिकल रिसर्च, यूनिवर्सिटी दिल्ली। आप ही ने इसकी स्थापना की थी और लगभग 6 वर्षों तक आप कुलपति रहे बुंदेलखंड विश्वविद्यालय झांसी के। इसके अलावा प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडियन केमिकल सोसाइटी, मेंबर प्लानिंग कमीशन, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ यूपी, सेक्रेटरी जाहिर साइंस फाउंडेशन न्यू दिल्ली, राष्ट्रीय इस्पात निगम नॉन ऑफिशियल डायरेक्टर, और अपने अध्यापकीय जीवन में उन्होंने 3 वर्ष रसायन शास्त्र विभाग दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के अध्यक्ष पद का भार भी संभाला। आप विश्वविख्यात रसायन शास्त्री हैं, और इसीलिए जो स्टैनफोर्ड विश्वविद्यालय यूएसए और मेनली यूके ने जो सर्वेक्षण किया था, उसमें आपको शीर्षोन्मुख फार्माकोलॉजिस्ट और फार्मासिस्ट की उपाधि से सम्मानित किया गया था। यह बहुत ही अमूल्य और बहुत ही रेयर उपलब्धि है जो सर ने हासिल की और भारत का मान बढ़ाया। सर उच्च शिक्षा और अनुसंधान के क्षेत्र में लगातार प्रयत्नशील रहते हैं, और उनमें एक डायनेमिक लीडरशिप है, एक विजन है, और एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस को खड़ा करने और बनाने का मादा रखते हैं। आपने दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय में तो काम किया ही, लेकिन विश्वविद्यालय जो विदेशों में है, न्यूयॉर्क में, न्यूयॉर्क हॉस्पिटल, कॉर्नेल यूनिवर्सिटी मेडिकल सेंटर, रॉकफेलर यूनिवर्सिटी न्यूयॉर्क, स्कूल ऑफ मैसेच्यूसेट्स जनरल हॉस्पिटल, वहां आप अध्यापक के रूप में आपने काम किया और कई शोध किए, कई उपलब्धियां हासिल की, और खास तौर पर केमिकल साइंस की दिशा में, और खास तौर पर न्यू ड्रग डिस्कवरी एंड डेवलपमेंट, और खास तौर पर ड्रग मेटाबॉलिज्म में आपने जो रिसर्च किया है वह अपना एक प्रतिमान स्थापित करता है। इसलिए उनके पास एक ऐसी विद्वता है जिन्होंने उनको राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कई उपलब्धियों, कई सम्मानों से अलंकृत किया, और इसमें कुछ का नाम मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहता हूं। मिलेनियम प्लेक्स ऑफ ऑनर, लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड फॉर कंट्रीब्यूशन इन साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी बाय इंडियन साइंस कांग्रेस एसोसिएशन, award of the highest honor of Soka University, Tokyo, Japan, J. William Fulbright Scholarship, the Rockefeller Foundation USA Biotechnology Career Award, UGC Research Scientist Award, Rajiv Goyal Award for Young Scientist, Lifetime Achievement Award of the Indian Chemical Society, Bronze Medal of the Chemical Research Society of India, Professor Ghanshyam Srivastava Commemoration Award of the Chemical Research Society of India, Professor Ghanshyam Srivastava Commemoration Award of ICS, Professor DP Chakravarti Commemoration Award of ICS, और अनेक ऐसे अवार्ड जिनको हम एक सर्वश्रेष्ठ अवार्ड मानते हैं। फेलो ऑफ द रॉयल सोसाइटी ऑफ केमिस्ट्री लंदन, इंडियन एकेडमी ऑफ बायो मेडिकल साइंस, इंटरनेशनल एकेडमी ऑफ फिजिक्स। मेरी जीवा थक जाएगी पढ़ते पढ़ते, लेकिन ये अवार्ड और सम्मानों की श्रृंखला समाप्त होने की नहीं आ रही। और जो नैनो मेडिसिन के क्षेत्र में, जो अभी भी भारत में बहुत नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी विकसित नहीं है, उस पर उन्होंने काम किया है, और ये आर्टिफिशियल सेल्स पर काम किया है। ये एक रसायन के क्षेत्र में जो एक इतना बड़ा काम किया है और इतना बड़ा व्यक्तित्व आज हमारे सामने है, वो भाषण देंगे, हमारा ज्ञान वर्धन करेंगे वैश्विक विज्ञान के विकास में भारत की भूमिका पर। आमतौर पर यह धारणा है कि जो डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ग्लोबल साइंस का विकास पश्चिम में हुआ, आज हम यह जानेंगे कि डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ग्लोबल साइंस के विकास में भारत की क्या भूमिका है। हम केवल सुनते हैं अपने रसायन शास्त्रियों और भूगर्भ शास्त्रियों और वैज्ञानिकों, चिकित्सकों की बात। आज हम जानेंगे कि उन्होंने कैसे इसका विकास किया और भारतीय शिक्षा पद्धति में और ज्ञान पद्धति में कैसे उसको समाहित करना चाहिए। मैं आपका बहुत स्वागत करता हूं सर कि आपने हमारे इस निवेदन को स्वीकार किया। मैं अपने कुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी का स्वागत करता हूं कि उन्होंने अपने व्यस्त समय में से अध्यक्षीय संबोधन के लिए समय निकाला, और मैं अपने सारे साथियों का स्वागत करता हूं। और आप आज एक विद्वान को सुनने जा रहे हैं, भारत वैश्विक विज्ञान के विकास में भारत की भूमिका। तो मैं कोई भी विलंब न करते हुए मैं आदरणीय श्रीमान प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी से आग्रह करता हूं कि वे अपने संबोधन से हमारा ज्ञान अर्जन करें और लाभान्वित करें। प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी।
नमस्कार, good afternoon. I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes, sir, we are listening you, sir. You are
I am grateful to Indira Gandhi Open University and the president of today's lecture, Professor Nageshwar Rao, Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi Open University, and my other colleagues, particularly Satyakamji, who has invited me to share my views about the Indian science, the contribution of Indian science in development of global science. India, being the cradle of one of the oldest civilizations in the world, has a tradition that is embedded in the science and technology. Science and technology, an ancient Indian land well balanced the wisdom and knowledge of sages and seers, of rishis and researchers, of scholars, scientists whose scientific knowledge is preserved in the Vedas, Ayurveda, and other ancient granths. Today, many centuries later, and the 75 years after achieving independence, India has come a long way as she gears up to provide and deploy high-tech solutions in several key areas, including education, healthcare, transport, etc., to all citizens, reaching even to the marginalized communities. The traveling back in the time along the eventful lane of India's science and technology ecosystem flashes into the minds and eye several milestones that directed our nation to the significant global position that we are today. The stalwarts who stand out include Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, who initiated several reforms in higher education and science and technology, and was particularly instrumental in setting up the Indian Institute of Technology. The first one was inaugurated in 1951 at IIT, that is called IIT Kharagpur. The contribution of Dr. Maulana Azad cannot be ignored when we talk about development of science. India propelled herself into the domain and space right from the 1960s, and through diplomatic ties with the Soviet Union, planted the seed of the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, simultaneously advancing nuclear capability, which was jubilantly demonstrated through the first nuclear इसमें कनेक्ट करो. Can you hear me, Satkam ji?
जी सर, आपकी आवाज आ रही है सर. अभी सर आप स्क्रीन से ऑफ हो गए हैं.
आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्र जी, अपने को प्लीज अनम्यूट कर लीजिए अपना स्क्रीन सर. पावर पॉइंट तो आपका आ रहा है लेकिन आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ पा रही है.
वो अनम्यूट नहीं है, वो
अनम्यूट कर दीजिए. हाँ
हो गया.
अब ठीक है सर, अब बोलिए.
ठीक है सर.
ओके. ये प्रेजेंटेशन नजर आ रहा है?
हाँ जी सर, प्रेजेंटेशन आ रहा है.
ओके. So the Einstein said we owe a lot to the ancient Indians, teaching us how to count, without which most modern scientific discoveries would have been impossible. So if that is the saying of Einstein, then certainly we have to justify the saying. These are some of the Indian scientists who have contributed a lot for development of science in India, which if we start from the left-hand side, Jagdish Chandra Bose, Dr. P.C. Ray, Satyen Bose, Meghnad Saha, Mahalanobis, then G.C. Bhattacharya, Anand Mohan Chakravarti, Subhas Mukhopadhyay, Dr. C.V. Raman, Dr. Hargovind Khurana, Homi Jahangir Baba, Vikram Sarabhai, Subramanian Chandrasekhar, Srinivas Ramanujan, Dr. Ashok Sen, a leading mathematician, Dr. Shankar Chatterjee, Dr. Venki Ramakrishnan, Jayant Narlikar, Dr. Kalam, and many more. So, one of the oldest civilizations in the world, the Indian civilization has a strong tradition of science and technology. Ancient India was a land of sages, as I said, and seers, as well as a land of scholars and scientists. And the research has shown that from making the best steel in the world to teaching the world to count, India was actively contributing to the field of science and technology centuries long before modern laboratories were set up. Many theories and techniques discovered by the ancient Indians have created and strengthened the fundamentals of modern science and technology, while some of these groundbreaking contributions have been acknowledged and some are still unknown to most. I am a teacher in Delhi University for almost 4 decades, and I take pride in telling that there are several stalwarts in the country, in this university, who have been instrumental in shaping this Indian science. And one of them is Dr. Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar, who was head Department of Chemistry, University of Delhi during 1941 to 44. And during this period, he was able to establish CSIR or many other laboratories. Similarly, Dr. D.S. Kothari was a professor of reader in physics and professor in physics and head of Department of Physics. He was instrumental in developing DRDO from the same buildings here. The DRDO, CSIR, and many other labs, ICMR and IARI, they were developed from the old chemistry and physics department buildings where the departments are housed today. So in the past more than 7 decades, India has built satellites and sent probes to Moon and Mars, established nuclear power stations, acquired nuclear weapon capability, and demonstrated firepower in the form of a range of missiles. And at the same time, the scientific research combined with the favorable public policies has made India self-sufficient in production of the food, milk, fruits and vegetables, drugs and vaccines. And all this has had great social and economic impact and directly and indirectly touched the lives of ordinary Indians. Development in the communications and information technology have enabled timely forecast of weather and early warning of cyclones, saving thousands of lives. These are all results of investment made in scientific research soon after the independence and science politics network built in decades prior to that. Investment in scientific research was 0.1% of GDP in 1947, then it went up to 0.5% in less than a decade. Scientists like Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar, Dr. Baba, P.C. Mahalanobis not only built scientific institutions but also helped and shaped the scientific policies. I will just mention 16 significant science and technological discoveries that ancient India gave to the world. In that, if you see the first one, the idea of zero. Nobody in the world knew what is zero. And little needs to be written about the mathematical digit zero, one of the most important inventions of all time. Mathematician Aryabhatta was the first person to create a symbol of zero, and it was through his efforts and mathematical operations like addition and subtraction started using the digit zero. The second, I'll give you, second is the decimal system. The decimal system, India gave the indigenous method of expressing all numbers by means of the 10 symbols. The decimal system, due to the simplicity of the decimal notation, which facilitated calculation, and this system made the usage of arithmetic and practical inventions much faster and easier. So this is a very major contribution of India for the development of science and mathematical science all over the globe. Then numeral notations. India, or the Indians as early as 500 BC, had devised a system of different symbols for every number from 1 to 9. And this notation system was adopted by the Arabs, who called it the Hind numerals, and centuries later, this notation system was adopted by the Western world, who called them the Arabic numerals, as it reached them through the Arab traders. The fourth is the Fibonacci numbers. So these Fibonacci numbers and their sequence first appear in Indian mathematics as a Matra Meru, which was mentioned by Pingala in connection with the Sanskrit tradition of prosody, and later on the methods for the formation of these numbers were given by the mathematician Virahanka, Gopala, and Hemchandra. Much before the Italian mathematician Fibonacci introduced the fascinating sequence to Western European mathematics. So this is a major contribution of India. Then binary numbers. The binary numbers is the basic language in which the computer programs are written. Binary basically refers to a set of two numbers, 1 and 0, and then the combinations of which are called bits and bytes. The binary number system was first described by the Vedic scholar Pingala in his book Chanda Shastra, which is earliest known Sanskrit treatise for prosody, the study of poetic meters and verse. The sixth is the Chakrawala method of algorithm. This Chakrawala method is a cyclic algorithm to solve indeterminate quadratic equations, including the Pell's equation, and this method for obtaining integral solutions was developed by Brahmagupta, one of the well-known mathematicians of the 7th century CE. Another mathematician, Jayadeva, later generalized this method for a wider range of equations, which was further refined by Bhaskara II in his Vijayancha treatise. Then the seventh, the ruler measurements. The excavations at Harappan sites have yielded rulers or linear measures made from ivory and self, marked out in minute subdivisions with amazing accuracy. The calibrations correspond closely with the Hasta increments of 13/8 inches and traditionally used in the ancient architecture of South India. And ancient bricks found at the excavation site have dimensions that correspond to the units on the rulers. So the ruler, now we say 12 inch, it used to be 13 inch in the earlier days. Eighth is the theory of atom. Maharishi Kanad was one of the notable scientists of ancient India who said and devised the atomic theory centuries much before the John Dalton was born. He speculated the existence of IGNOU, or a small indestructible particle, much like an atom. He also stated that IGNOU can have two states, absolute rest and state of motion. Today we call them in science excited state. So, state of motion. He further held that atoms of the same substance combined with each other in a specific and synchronized manner to produce Dyanka, diatomic molecules, and Trenka, triatomic molecules. So these are what the discoveries long ago India has given. Then heliocentric theory. The mathematicians of the ancient India often applied their mathematical knowledge to make accurate astronomical predictions. The most significant among them was Aryabhatta, whose book Aryabhatiya represented the pinnacle of the astronomical knowledge at the time. He correctly propounded that Earth is round and it rotates on its axis and revolves around the sun. So that was the discovery of India, and that is the heliocentric theory. He also made predictions about the solar and the lunar eclipses. duration of the day as well as distance between the earth and the moon. So much before the world knew about it, our mathematicians, the scientists, they discovered this advanced science. So 10th is Wood's steel, a pioneering steel alloy matrix developed in India. That is, a Wood's steel is a crucible steel characterized by a pattern of bands that was known in ancient world by many different names such as Uku, Hindwani, and Sirikara. It was produced by the Tamils of the Chira dynasty. Then the finest steel of the ancient world was made by heating black magnetite ore in the presence of the carbon in a sealed clay crucible which was kept inside a charcoal furnace. So this was the discovery of India. Then zinc. Smelting of zinc was a great discovery of India. India was the first to smelt zinc by distillation process, an advanced technique derived from a long experience of ancient alchemy. The ancient Persians has also attempted to reduce zinc oxide in an open furnace but had failed. Jawar in the Tiri Valley in Rajasthan is the world's first known ancient zinc smelting site. The distillation technique of the zinc production goes back to the 12th century AD and is an important contribution of India to the world of science. The 12th, I say, seamless metal globe. It is considered one of the most remarkable feats in metallurgy. The first seamless celestial globe was made in Kashmir by Ali Kashmiri ibn Luqman in the reign of Emperor Akbar. In a major feat in metallurgy, Mughal metallurgists pioneered the method of lost wax casting to make 20 other globe masterpieces in the reign of Mughal Empire. Before these globes were rediscovered in 1980s, the modern metallurgists believed that it was technically impossible to produce metal globes without any seams, even with modern technology. So that was a technology. There was no seam in the globe. Then the plastic surgery. We have heard about Susurta, written by Susurta in the 6th century BC. Susurta Samhita is considered to be one of the most comprehensive textbooks on ancient surgery. The text mentions various illness, plants, preparations, and cures along with complex techniques of the plastic surgery, and the Susurta Samhita most well-known contribution to the plastic surgery is the reconstruction of the nose, known also as rhinoplasty. So these were all discovery of India. Then India was much ahead in the surgery, the cataract surgery. The first cataract surgery is said to have been performed by the ancient Indian physician Susurta way back in 6th century BC. To remove the cataract from the eye, he used a curved needle and called it a Jabamukhi Slaka to loosen the lens and push the cataract out of the field of vision. The eye would then be bandaged for a few days till it healed completely, and Susurta's surgical works were later translated to Arabic language, and through the Arabs, his work were introduced to the West. Ayurveda. Long before the birth of Hippocrates, Chark Samhita or the Chark authored a foundational text, fundamental textbook, the Chark Samhita on the ancient science of Ayurveda. Referred to as the father of Indian medicine, Charak was the first physician to present the concept of digestion, metabolism, immunity in his book. The Charaka's ancient manual on preventive medicine remained a standard work on the subject for 2 millennia and was translated into many foreign languages, including Arabic and Latin. 16th and the last, comparatively very recent, the first iron-cast rocket was developed in 1780s by Tipu Sultan of Mysore, who successfully used these rockets against the larger forces of the British East India Company during the Anglo-Mysore Wars. He crafted long iron tubes, filled them with gunpowder, and fastened them to bamboo poles to create the predecessor of the modern rocket. With a range of about 2 kilometers, these rockets were the best in the world at that time and caused as much fear and confusion as damage. So this is the 16 discoveries I said, which India made much before the science in Western countries developed. Then we had few scientists who got Nobel Prize. They made a larger contribution. And incidentally, let me coming back. Because the British India was Pakistan and India together, and some of the institutions like Government College Lahore, which is now it was made a university in 2002, but it was a college. So at least I know half a dozen people who are the great scientists this college has given. Hargobind Khurana, Abdul Salam, Chandrasekhar, those they have been recognized. Some unsung heroes like Guru Bakht Singh, Sukhdev, they all came from the same college. So Indian science was developed in the northern part of India, British India, and also some other West Bengal, the Chennai, all these places are where the Indian science developed. This Ronald Ross, he is a born Indian. He was born in Almora, now in Uttarakhand, in 1857. Ronald Ross was the first person to get a Nobel Prize in 1902, because Nobel Prize started in 1901. So Ronald Ross, he was a British medical doctor, but he was born in India. He was working in Calcutta. He was working in Simla. He got Nobel Prize for his discovery in 1902 for his work on the transmission of malaria, because this malaria experiments he carried out in Calcutta. And he became the first British Nobel laureate and the first born outside Europe. He was born in Almora. And his discovery of the malaria parasite in the gastrointestinal tract of the mosquito in 1897 proved that malaria was transmitted by mosquitoes and laid the foundation for the method of combating the disease. So it was an unchallengeable disease, but now the malaria is under control in India. Then the second is, we're talking about Dr. Raman, C.V. Raman. He was born in 1888 and died very early in 1970. He was an Indian physicist known for his work in the field of light scattering. He used a spectrograph that he developed, and that he developed was with the help of K.S. Krishnan. K.S. Krishnan, incidentally, was a professor of physics in Delhi University. K.S. Krishnan was the first person who was appointed first director of National Physical Laboratory housed in Physics Department of Delhi University. So the K.S. Krishnan discovered that when light traverses a transparent material, the deflected light changes its wavelength and frequency. Dr. Raman was not a scientist originally, he was a revenue officer. And this phenomenon, a hitherto unknown type of scattering of light, which they called modified scattering, was subsequently termed as Raman effect or Raman scattering. For this, Dr. C.V. Raman got Nobel Prize in 1930 for physics for his discovery and was first Asian to receive a Nobel Prize in any branch of science. Dr. Khurana, with whom I have been closely associated, Hargobind Khurana, he has been one of my mentors and he is a great man. Dr. Khurana, as I said, he was also from Government College Lahore. Professor Guru Bakht Singh, the founder Vice Chancellor of Central University of Hyderabad and Vice Chancellor of University of Delhi during 80 to 85, and Dr. Khurana, Dr. Sukhdev. They used to work in Government College Lahore with Dr. Man Singh, and they published 5 papers together, which are present today in the museum of the MIT in US. So Dr. Khurana basically developed his interest for science when he was not recognized in India. He told me several times that he cried when he wanted a job in India, came to the Department of Chemistry at University of Delhi, and the then head of the department was so powerful. Maurice Guire used to be the vice chancellor. They did not appoint him even a lecturer. Anyway, Dr. Khurana, Dr. Gurbakh Singh, Abdul Salam, 100 students were selected by Pandit Nehru in different disciplines, not only science. A.R. Kidwai, who was the UPSC chairman for 12 years and governor for 18 years, they all were together. They were sent by ship to study in UK and USA. Dr. Khurana, incidentally, wanted to go to US, but for some reason, he got down in UK and he did his PhD in UK. And Professor Gurbakh Singh and Dr. Kidwai and other people, they went to do their PhD in US. Dr. Kidwai did his PhD from Cornell Medical College. Professor Gurbakh Singh did his PhD from Harvard University. So these were the people who in those days laid the foundation of the science in this country or around the world. So Dr. Khurana was, he shared the 1968 Nobel Prize for Physiology of Medicine when he was a professor at the University of Wisconsin. Before that, he worked in Canada. He was a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Cambridge. He went to Switzerland, where he got married while he was there. So his basic work was nucleotide and nucleic acid, which carry the genetic code of the cell and control the cells, synthesis of the proteins. And Khurana and Indira were also awarded the Lucia Gross Enrollment Prize from the Columbia University in the same year. So this is Dr. Khurana, who visited our institute, a medical center for biomedical research, sometime in 2001. So this is a great discovery of Dr. Khurana, which inspired the younger generation of India. Dr. Subramaniam. Dr. Subramaniam Chandrasekhar was also a student of Government College Lahore. He was an Indian-American astrophysicist. He was a nephew of Dr. C.V. Raman. He spent his professional life in the US, but he started his career from the same college where Dr. Khurana, Abdul Salam, Gurbakh Singh, they started. He was awarded the 1983 Nobel Prize for Physics with William A. Fowler for theoretical studies of the physical processes of importance to the structure and evolution of the stars. His mathematical treatment of the stellar evolution yielded many of the current theoretical models of the later evolutionary stages of massive stars and black holes. So this theory of black holes, basically, it was Chandrasekhar who started, and later on, the other scientists in UK have taken over that theory. And the Chandrasekhar limit is named after him. There's a phenomenon, the Chandrasekhar limit. Our another friend who is very active scientist in today, Venki Ramakrishnan. Venki basically started his career at Management University, Baroda. So Venki, due to some, as we Indians, try to harass people who are creative, who can think out of box. So as he was harassed, and he left this country. And I'm really lucky to have close relationship and association with him. And Venki is an Indian born. He was born in India, studied at Management University, Baroda, and he's a British American because he has a British passport and American passport. He's a structural biologist to share the 2009 Nobel Prize in Chemistry with Thomas Sage and Ada Yona. Done make lady for studies of the structure and function of the ribosomes. And since 1999, he has worked as a group leader at Medical Research Council, Laboratory of the Molecular Biology in Cambridge University, UK, and is a fellow of the Trinity College, Cambridge. And Venki was the president of the Royal Society, UK, from 2015 to 2020. So these are the Indian scientists who are contributing. So if you see this, we were together 2 years ago in a meeting in Japan. So this is a picture I'm sharing with you. So there are some leaders. Unfortunately, some of them are no more. But like I was talking about Dr. Bhatnagar. Dr. Bhatnagar was head Department of Chemistry during 1941 to 43. And during this period, Dr. Bhatnagar persuaded the government to set up an industrial research utilization committee for translating results into application. If somebody tried to oppose the government today, probably the vice chancellor will punish him. The government then agreed to make a separate fund out of the royalties received from industry for further investment into the industrial research, and the constitution of the Council of Scientific Research as an autonomous body was prepared under the leadership of Sir R. Ramaswamy Mudaliar and Dr. Bhatnagar while he was working as the head Department of Chemistry at University of Delhi. The CSIR came into operation on 26 September 1942 from a laboratory which is now part of the Department of Chemistry at University of Delhi. The BSIR and IRUC were incorporated into the advisory bodies of the governing body of CSIR, and in 1943, the governing body of CSIR approved the proposal of Dr. Bhatnagar to establish few more laboratories. And which were those laboratories? National Physical Laboratory, which was established, as I told you, under the leadership of K.S. Krishnan in the Department of Physics at the University of Delhi, and also the National Chemical Laboratory in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Delhi. The Fuel Research Station, the Glass and Ceramic Research Institute, Calcutta, and National Metallurgical Laboratory. So these were the initial steps Dr. Bhatnagar started development of science from Delhi University campus. Then Homi Bhabha. Homi Bhabha played an important role in the quantum theory. He was the first person to become the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission. Having started his scientific career in the nuclear physics from a Great Britain, Bhabha returned to India and played a key role in convincing the Congress Party senior leaders, including Pandit Nehru, to start the ambitious nuclear program. And Bhabha is generally acknowledged as the father of Indian nuclear power. But few people know that he was absolutely against India manufacturing atomic bombs, even if the country had enough resources to do so. So instead, he suggested that the production of an atomic reactor should be used to lessen India's misery and poverty. So that was the contribution of Bhabha. Then there is a great scientist, again, engineer basically, Sir Visvesvaraya. Visvesvaraya was a notable Indian engineer. He was a scholar, statesman, and the Diwan of the Mysore during 1912 to 1918. He was a recipient of India's Republic's highest honor, Bharat Ratna. And Dr. Visvesvaraya suggested that India tried to be at par with the industrialized nations, as he believed that India can become developed through the industries. He has the credit of inventing automatic sluice gates and block irrigation system in canal, which are still considered to be marvels in engineering. So we celebrate 15th September as Engineers Day in his memory. And since the river beds were costly, he came up with an efficient way of filtering water through collector wells in 1895, which was rarely seen anywhere in the world. We had Venki Radhakrishnan. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2011. So Venkat Raman Radhakrishnan was globally renowned space scientist and a member of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences. He was an internationally acclaimed astrophysicist and also known for his design and fabrication of ultralight, aircraft, and sailboats. His observations and theoretical insights helped the community in unraveling many mysteries surrounding pulsars interstellar clouds, galaxy structures, and various other celestial bodies. We had a known name, Satyendranath Bose. Satyendranath Bose was basically a physicist who specialized in quantum mechanics. He is, of course, the most remembered for his role played in the class of the particles, boson, which is a major project of the world today, boson. 135 countries are participating in this joint project, boson. And it was named after him, boson, by Paul Dirac to commemorate his work in this field. And Satyendranath Bose, conducted a lecture at the University of Dhaka on the theory of radiation and ultraviolet spectroscopy into this short article called Planck Law and Hypothesis of Light Quanta. And he sent it to Einstein to have his suggestions and ideas. The Einsteins agreed with him and translated Satyendranath Bose's paper himself in English in 1924, and this formed the basis of the Bose-Einstein statistics. In 1937, Rabindranath Tagore dedicated his only book on science, that is a Vish Paraki, to S.N. Bose, and the government of India awarded him the second highest award, this is Padma Bhushan, 1954. So then, we see another scientist, the great scientist, Meghnad Saha. He comes from Bangladesh now, the eastern part of the West Bengal. So Meghnad Saha, best known work concerned the thermal ionization of elements. And it led him to formulate what is known as Saha equation. And this equation is one of the basic tools for interpretation of the spectra of a star in astrophysics. By studying the spectra of various stars, one can find their temperature, and from that, using Saha's equation, determine the ionization state of various elements making up the star. He also invented an instrument to measure the weight and pressure of the solar rays. But no, you may not be knowing, he was also the chief architect of the river planning in India. He prepared the original plan for the Damodar Valley project. Incidentally, Dr. Meghnad Saha comes from a very poor family and the so-called downtrodden families of West Bengal or East Bengal in those days. So if you see his biography, how he grew up, he used to work when he was studying. His father was not able to support his studies. Then our next hero is Ramanujan, Srinivasa Ramanujan. He was an Indian mathematician and autodidact. Nobody taught him. He learned himself. Without any formal training in pure mathematics, he made extraordinary contribution to mathematical analysis. Number theory, infinite series, and continued fractions. At the age of 11, he had exhausted the mathematical knowledge of 2 college students who were loggers at his home. He was later lent a book on advanced trigonometry, which was written by S.L. Loney, and he completely mastered this book by the age of 13 and discovered sophisticated theorems on his own. We do not know, we didn't know before that he faced a lot of health problems while living in England and due to scarcity of vegetarian food. So Ramanujan returned to his home state, Tamil Nadu, and his contributions are so well known that we celebrate 22nd December as Ramanujan birthday, and this is also called IT Day. We memorize both man and his achievement. This is the contribution of Ramanujan. There is a physicist. This man is a physicist, is a biologist, is a chemist, is a botanist, archaeologist. Jagdish Chandra Bose. Again, comes from Bengal presidency, like others. He was a man of many talents. He was a polymathematician, he was a physicist, he was a biologist, he was a botanist, he was an archaeologist. And he pioneered the study of radio and microwave optics. He made important contribution to the study of plants and laid the foundation of the experimental science in the Indian subcontinent. He was the first person to use semiconductor junctions to detect radio signals and thus demonstrated wireless communication for the first time. What is more? He is also probably the father of the open technology. He made his invention and work freely available for others to further develop. His reluctance for patenting his work in the were legendary. Another of his well-known invention is the crescograph, through which he measured plant response to various stimuli, and he gave the hypothesis that plant also can feel pain and understand the affection. This is a great philosophy. We feel that only the human beings can feel pain, and only the human beings can understand affection. But it is Dr. Bose who said no. The plants can also feel pain and understand affection. And this discovery, such a discovery, is nobody could think of in the world. Vikram Sarabhai, the another great man, to whom we say the father of India's space program, was instrumental in the setting up of the ISRO. He successfully convinced the Indian government of the space program. He was also given the awards Padma Bhushan over there. While everyone knows of his primary role in the establishment of ISRO, perhaps many of us do not know that he was also the force behind the establishment of many other Indian institutes of repute, particularly if you see Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. So he was, these people, not only the scientists, they were institution builder. So he was a person who developed IIM Ahmedabad and the Nehru Foundation for the Development. Daulat Singh Kothari, as I said, Daulat Singh Kothari was a great teacher of physics. I had very close affiliation with Dr. Kothari. He used to live on campus. His son was Lakshman Kothari, was a professor of physics who retired a few years ago. So Dr. Kothari was an outstanding physicist and educationist. He worked as a reader, professor, head of the department of physics at Delhi University. And he is the architect of defense science in India. He was the founder of most of the DRDO labs in India. And Dr. Kothari played a crucial role in setting up UGC and NCRT. He was a scientific advisor of Minister of Defense from 1948 to 61. And thereafter in 61, he was appointed the chairman of University Grants Commission and very continuous for 12 years until 1973. Dr. Kothari was chairman of the Kothari Commission, Education Commission, during 64-66. That is called Kothari Commission, and that was the first ad hoc commission set up in India for the modernization and externalization of education in India. So these were the people. Their contribution cannot be forgotten in development of Indian science. If you talk about botany, we have a Birbal Sahni Institute in Lucknow. Who was Birbal Sahni? He was an Indian paleobotanist who studied the fossils of the Indian subcontinent. He was also a geologist who took an interest in archaeology, and his greatest contribution lie in the study of the plants of India in the present as well as the historical context. He was also elected Fellow of the Royal Society in 1936, and the highest British scientific honor, which was awarded for the first time to any botanist, and he was a founder of the Paleo Botanical Society, which established the Institute of Paleobotany on 10 September 1946, and which was initially established in the Department of Botany of University of Lucknow. So the universities have played a very important role in development of Indian science and science for the global science. We had another scientist, was born in Bombay, Salim Ali. Salim was an ornithologist and naturalist. He was among the first Indians to conduct systematic bird survey across India, and his bird book helped develop ornithology in the subcontinent. We call him a birdman of India. And he was the key figure behind the Bombay Natural History Society after 1947, and he used his personal influence to garner government to support the organization, and he was awarded the Padma Vibhushan. That's a common thing. Dr. Kalam, with whom I have been associated very closely, and I wrote his biography before he took oath as a president of India. Dr. Kalam, an Indian scientist, initially, in fact, I wrote in my book that, and I told Dr. Kalam, you are a technocrat, not a scientist. But he was really great scientist who worked as an aerospace engineer with Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, and Indian Space Research Institute. He started his career as a technician in Dehradun after his diploma in engineering. He was not a graduate. Dr. Kalam never had a graduate degree. Kalam started his career by designing a small helicopter for the Indian Army. He was also the part of INCO-SPAR committee working under Vikram Sarabhai. He was interviewed by Vikram Sarabhai. He was interviewed by Professor M.G.K. Menon. Those were the great people who nurtured him. So he was a renowned space scientist, and in 1969 he was transferred to the ISRO, where he was the project director of India's first indigenous satellite launch vehicle, SLV-3, which successfully deployed the Rohini satellite in near Earth's orbit in July 1980. He also served as the 11th president, as we all know, and he always claimed, until he died, he advocated plans to develop India into a developed nation by 2020. And he has received all awards or recognitions of the government of India. This is one of the memories we have. Dr. Kalam, Professor G.P. Talwar, they all came to Jhansi during a convocation in 2003, I believe. And I kept writing about him, which I have not published yet, after his biography, which I published before he took over as President of India. Then we have another scientist, Shashi Kumar Madhusudan Chitre. Madhusudan was instrumental in setting up the Center for Excellence in Basic Sciences, for which he was an academic chairperson until his death. He received numerous honors during his vast career. He was a fellow of the Third World Academy of Sciences, Royal Astronomical Society, and all three Indian science academies. He also served as the president of the Astronomical Society of India. He was also awarded Padma Bhushan. And Chitre served on the board of trustees of J.N. Tata Trust and worked as an honorary executive director of Homi Bhabha Fellowship Council. He unfortunately passed away in January 2021. Dr. Narasimhan, Roda Narasimhan, I had my personal affiliation and connections with Dr. Narasimhan. He was a great scientist, a great person. He was at University of Bangalore and he was director of the CSIR National Aerospace Laboratories, NAL, on deputation from 84 to 93 for almost 9 years. And he was instrumental in setting up a parallel computing system which was not conceived hitherto to solve several computational problems. He also offered critical support to ISRO particularly in investigating failure of certain launch vehicles, which greatly helped in their rectification later. He was also a member of Indian Space Commission, and he was also awarded Padma Vibhushan, that is the second in 2013. We have several female scientists, and one of them, Dr. V. Shanta. Dr. V. Shanta was an Indian oncologist. She was a cancer specialist. She was well known for her efforts in making cancer treatment affordable, and she was the chairperson of the Adyar Cancer Institute in Chennai, which I have seen personally. That's a great institute. And she was holding several positions, including that of the director during 80 to 97. She has also contributed her efforts as a member of many National International Committee. Dr. Shanta was elected as a fellow of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, and she has received several accolades in recognition of her work, including Magsaysay Award and Padma Vibhushan. So she was a great cancer specialist. We had a Kharak Singh Waldia. Dr. Kharak Singh, very simple man. And I remember when he started Wadia Institute at Delhi University campus. Dr. Kharak Singh was instrumental in the establishment of several key geological institutions in India, notably Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology, Central Himalayan Environmental Association, Nainital, G.B. Pant Institute of Himalayan Environment and Development, Almora, and Geology Department at Kumaon University. He was elected as a fellow of all the academies and in Third World Academy of Science and Geological Society of India, Geological Society of America, Nepal, and so many other recognitions he got. His studies have greatly contributed to the understanding of the paleogeography of the region and shed light on geodynamics. Unfortunately, he passed away in September 2020. We have M.S. Narasimhan. Dr. M.S. Narasimhan played a key role in the development of mathematics in India. He was the first chairman of the National Board of Higher Mathematics. He was elected a fellow of the Royal Society, FRS. He was also the fellow of all the three academies in India, and also recipient of the French National Order of Merit and the Padma Award. And to date, he is the only Indian to win King Faisal International Prize for Science from Saudi Arabia, which he received jointly with Simon Donaldson of Imperial College. So Dr. Narasimhan also come from Chennai, also the Madras Presidency. Then we have another scientist and administrator to whom I pay my tribute, Dr. M. Anand. Dr. M. Anand was basically engineer, educationist and science administrator. He was the chairperson of IIT Kanpur and former vice chancellor of Anna University. He also served as an advisor to the government of Tamil Nadu on information technology and e-governance. And he was, I believe, he was the first vice chairman of Tamil Nadu Council of Higher Education. He received several awards. So Dr. Anand Krishnan, not only in science, but contributed a lot for the scientific administration and universities in India. He was also conferred the commander of the National Order of Scientific Merit by the government of Brazil in 1996. Dr. Anand Krishnan was also elected as a fellow of the National Academy of Science, India, and the Institution of Engineers and Indian Society of Technical Education. So these were some of the great persons who contributed for the development of science in India. Now we have another one. We have Sri Kumar Banerjee. Sri Kumar Banerjee also passed away in May 2021. And I would like to put on record that Sri Kumar was the former chairperson of Atomic Energy Commission of India and the former secretary of Atomic Energy. He was well known as a metallurgistic engineer by training. He also served as chairman of the Board of Governors of IIT Kharagpur for 3 years and elected as a fellow of all the academies in India. He received numerous recognition for his work and contribution to services, and he was awarded Bhatnagar Award and so on and so forth. So these are some of the scientists we lost before COVID and during COVID. I have another scientist, Nandi Vada Ratnasri. Ratnasri played a important role. His contribution has been towards the preservation of the Jantar Mantar. Jantar Mantar is an observatory. It was established by Raja Savai Jai Singh. She and her team have been instrumental in enabling these accessibility to the general public. She firmly believed that astronomy outreach carried out at archaeoastronomy heritage sites and through archaeoastronomy instruments had immense potential for wider communication and appreciation. Acknowledging Ratnasri's role in this, the Archaeological Survey of India appointed her to the committee overseeing the restoration of Jantar Mantar in New Delhi. And Ratnasri also worked with the National Council of Science Museums, advising them on astronomy-related exhibits and activities at various science centers. So unfortunately, we lost Ratnasri in May 2021. Then we had I had a good friend, a scientist, Govind Sarup. Govind Sarup comes from UP, Thakurdwara. I had a close association. We used to meet in Nobel Laureate Conclave quite often, and before that. So, Dr. Sarup was a radio astronomer. He discovered the type U solar burst. A recipient of Padma Shri and Lifetime Achievement Award from the Department of Epidemiology, he was a promoter of all-inclusive approach to teaching science. And Dr. V.G. Bhide and Dr. Sarup for 5 years integrated, they started 5 years integrated program for intensive education in science, which led to the establishment of all these ISERs. Because after Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, there was no science institutes. Now the government started 5 more ISERs, the Bhopal, the Mohali, the Calcutta, and so on and so forth. So Dr. Sarup was instrumental in establishing these ISERs. The another dynamic and charismatic lady I met several times. India will recognize her talent after some times. Shakuntala Devi comes from Bangalore. I met her quite a few times. She wanted to come to Jhansi, meet students, and unfortunately she also died in 2013. She was an Indian mathematician, not by training. She was a writer and mental calculator. I have seen how she used to see your face and then give calculations. So she was a human computer, and her talent earned her a place in 1982 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. And the certificate for the record was given posthumously on 30 July 2020, despite Shakuntala achieving her world record on 18 June 1980 at Imperial College, London. Shakuntala was a precocious child, and she demonstrated her arithmetic abilities at the University of Mysore without any formal education. Shakuntala strove to simplify numerical calculations for students. She wrote a number of books in her later years, including novels as well as the text about mathematics, puzzles, and astrology. And she wrote the book, The World of the Homosexuals, which is considered the first study of homosexuality in India. So these were the persons who contributed for the Indian science. We also have our friend Dr. Swaminathan. Dr. Swaminathan is a great agriculture scientist, and I'm really happy that still he's maintaining good health, reasonably good health according to age. He was the Director General of ICAR. He's a plant geneticist, administrator, and humanitarian. Swaminathan is a global leader of the Green Revolution. He has been called the main architect of Green Revolution in India for his leadership and role in introducing and further developing high-yielding varieties of wheat and rice. And the Swaminathan's collaborative scientific efforts with Norman Borlaug, spearheading a mass movement with farmers and other scientists and backed by public policies, he saved India and Pakistan from certain famine-like conditions in 1960s. His leadership as a Director General of Rice Research Institute, which I visited in the Philippines, was instrumental. He was instrumental in his being awarded the first World Food Prize in 1987, which is equivalent to the Nobel Prize or the highest honors in the field of agricultural science. The United Nations Environment Program has called him the father of economic ecology. We are really proud of him. He is still contributing to the development of science in this country. Despite that, he is today 97 years old. We have another friend, inventor, Ram Talwar, Professor G.P. Talwar. See him. Still, this picture was taken about a year ago in his lab. We had a birthday, we celebrated his birthday. The Swaminathan and Dr. Talwar, they belong to the same age. In August, we celebrated his birthday. So Professor G.P. Talwar was a professor of biochemistry at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and he took a project from WHO. And in those days, immunology was not at all developed in India or in Asia. So Professor Talwar, that project led him to develop National Institute of Immunology. In 83 to 91, he was the founding director. I have seen him working in the lab even today. This is the lab at his residence, where he is standing now. Dr. Talwar basically is a chemical engineer. He developed immunotherapeutic vaccine for leprosy. The vaccine is also showing efficacy as an immunotherapeutic adjunct to chemotherapy in tuberculosis and cancers. The vaccine is marketed as a Immuvac by Messrs. Cadila Pharma. He also pioneered research on immunological approaches to the contraception and invented the first birth control vaccine in the world, whose safety and efficacy has been tested. He has over 500 publications to his credit in reputed journals and authored, edited 10 books and monographs. He was the founding director of NII, as I said. But the great thing is that when the Dr. Talwar, after his superannuation in NII in 91, he made 2 houses, one for director, one for himself, and he was kicked out from the NII. Then he started his lab at his residence in scenic farms close to the IGNOU. And Dr. Talwar is still working, even at this age, like a young student. He keeps 6-7 students. He has a guest house, he has a lab, he has a housing for the lab staff, and still enjoying working even at this age. I'm really proud that we have such scientists who have contributed largely to the development of science globally. So this is the Dr. Talwar. We had a 6th World Congress on Non-Medical Sciences, and Dr. Talwar was one of the key speakers. You can see him there. And another scientist I can see, although he's not Indian, the third from the right-hand side, he said Thomas Chang. Thomas Chang is a scientist at the in Montreal. So Thomas Chang was the first person in the world who developed artificial cell in 1956. When he was Dr. Talwar and Thomas Chang, both are together with Dr. Hasnain, then Dr. Talwar and Dr. Chang. So such scientists, they have contributed globally. He may not be Indian, he's a Chinese basically. So he's now in Montreal. Even at this age, he has an active lab at the McGill University. Then there are, I'll just briefly conclude, there are 7 defining contributions of Indian science and technology after independence. I'll just briefly take few minutes. So in there, as I said, Dr. Swaminathan was responsible for the Green Revolution. Dr. Swaminathan, William Gord, and Norman Bloch are the fathers of the Green Revolution, as the term was given by them, whereas the father of the Green Revolution in India is the famous genetist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, about whom I just told you. Then after came the White Revolution. The White Revolution was initiated by the government of India to make India a self-dependent nation in the milk production, and Varghese Kurian, the chairman and founder of the Amul, was the father of the White Revolution in India. Then we have a satellite communication revolution. When Vikram Sarabhai, as a chairman of the Indian National Committee for Space Research, in mid-1960s envisioned the use of satellite technology for communication, remote sensing, and weather prediction. Few people believe him because India then did not possess any capability in building a rocket or a satellite. He wanted India to use space technology for education, health, and rural development. Drugs and vaccines. Manufacturing. India played a vital role in developing vaccine for the COVID-19. But even before that, in order to break the hold of the multinational corporations, the central government established Hindustan Antibiotics Limited in 1954, and then Indian Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited (IDPL) with Soviet assistance. So we were able to develop drugs and vaccines after independence on our own. Then C. and telecom revolution. During Prime Ministership of Rajiv Gandhi, to whom we call the architect of the digital India, or the father of information technology and telecom revolution in India, it was under his tenure that the Center for Development of Telematics was established in August 1984 to develop state-of-the-art telecommunication technology and meet the needs of the Indian telecommunication network. Then we have IT revolution and railway computerization. It is also in 84. The policy providing the provision for software exports through the satellite links was approved by Mr. Gandhi's cabinet, but was announced by the government headed by Rajiv Gandhi on November 19, 1984. And they have mentioned in the book the long revolution, the birth of the growth of the India's IT industry. Then there's the blue revolution. There's a green revolution, there's the white revolution, there's the green revolution. And for that green revolution, the blue revolution, Dr. Hiralal Chaudhary and Dr. Arun Krishnan, they are called as the father of the blue revolution. Then I just, this is a COVID time, I'll take a few seconds in that, because the COVID-19 is currently creating a havoc on socio-economic landscape of the countries, which is pushing them to take other forced decisions. And this decision in post-COVID-19 will directly and indirectly affect multilateralism through different aspects. Hence, the multilateralism should focus on the following points to re-establish in the post-pandemic world. So what are those points? The climate change. The COVID-19 has dethroned the biggest threats like terrorism for the nation, and now problems associated with climate change are considered as above and all. And as the multilateral systems were not ready for problems like this pandemic earlier as well, the risks associated with climate change are going to be way greater. And as of now, the world is not ready for any further resilience. The loss and damage due to the climate change is going to severely affect both financial as well as the social securities. While many developed countries have some safety against losses occurring due to natural disasters, but in case of developing countries, these losses remain uninsured. This means that the mentioned gap between the developed and the developing states keeps on hiding the vulnerable under carpet for long. But in case of the extreme situation like COVID-19 pandemic, all the states will be pushed towards the tipping points. Therefore, the climate risk map, especially for developing nations, should become a precedence for multilateralism. This map will enable these countries to plan for critical susceptibilities such as coasts, urban heat stress, water stress, crop loss, and biodiversity collapse, etc., and look for potential approaches to ensure the losses which might occur in case of stress. And these approaches would also permit provinces and the national governments to apprise their action plans on climate change with a deeper understanding of climate risk. Then we never, had a science diplomacy. I was in Russia for 10 days, and I had a meeting with several university presidents and directors, and also the president of the Russian Academy of Sciences. We came to the after discussion, we discussed with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi, and finally, it was decided that we should establish a Indo-Russian center. Indo-Russian Center of the campus of Delhi University, which will be funded by Government of India and Russian government equally. So in that, the science diplomacy is of prime importance. There are three different aspects that have been evaluated from the perspective of the role of science, technology, innovation in foreign policy, diplomacy, and international relations, which are as follows. The science in diplomacy means there is a science in diplomacy as well. So using science and technology cooperation to improve relation between, using scientific advisory to achieve foreign policy objectives. That's science in diplomacy. Then science for diplomacy. So using science and technology cooperation to improve relations between countries, and diplomacy for science. We have to do diplomacy with science. So convening international scientific cooperation and getting foreign science and technology inputs for indigenous progress. Therefore, considering the above points, integration of science into the global politics should be a primary focus of multilateralism, and this will be helpful for the states in strengthening the relationship between the countries and their research and developmental capabilities. Then social infrastructure. The COVID-19 functioned as an eye-opener for many countries for understanding the limits of their social infrastructure capabilities. And this pandemic challenged healthcare, education, public facilities, as well as the transportation of the goods in several different ways. Many emerging as well as the least developing countries were struggling to provide even beds to the COVID-19 patients, while several found it very difficult to manage better digital education services to their students. If you look at the statistics, India spends a total of 3.6% of the GDP on healthcare, public and private included, which is way lesser than Turkey, 4.2%, China 5%, Russia 5.3%, Mexico 5.5%, and Brazil 9.2%. Therefore, learning lesson from the past, the countries should work towards strengthening the G20 philosophy of leaving no one behind and thus supporting each other in building better social securities on ground which can further lead to multi-dimensional human development. Then the next I speak on for a second, innovation centricity. The one thing that was common in all points is the role of innovation in the era of COVID-19, where it was for the mass sanitization, cashless payments, low-cost ventilator, working remotely, or finding a vaccine for treating coronavirus. Innovation has played a salient role in mitigating the problems which could have been worse. So there is no denying the fact that the world post-COVID-19 will be innovation-driven. Therefore, there will be huge pressure on the countries to bring socio-economic normalcy to their citizens, and they should not neglect that innovative solutions will be a way out. From stress caused by the COVID-19. Reaching to the end of my lecture. This is the institute which we started, or I conceived in 1990, and it was inaugurated by the Prime Minister in March 1991. So we were the pioneering in providing biomedical education and research to the country. And this was the first institute to start MSc and MSc PhD combined degree program in biomedical sciences. And I'm happy to place on record that this Medical Center for Biomedical Research has played a very vital role in solving many health-related problems, which I can discuss when there is a separate lecture on science. As I said, the Delhi University is also in process of establishing Institute of Nanomedical Sciences, which is the need of the hour. We have recently signed the MOU with the Sechinova University, which is the largest medical university of the world, having 18,000 medical students, and also with the Russian Academy of Sciences. Its President Alexander Sergey, I met him in Moscow, and we signed an MOU. And the other picture also showing the MOU I signed with Sachi Nova University in the field of nanomedical science. And on the right-hand side, the lady is the rector of that university. So these are the steps we have to take to develop science and keeping in view what is the need of the hour. So these are the, I could give you the, in brief, what is our contribution for the development of the global science, how our scientists played important role up to 1947, and how we have to proceed further for developing science at a global level. Thank you very much. This is all I can say, and I'm grateful to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao, and the Pro-Vice Chancellor and other colleagues who have given me the opportunity to present my view, the role of Indian science or Indian scientists in developing the global science. Thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर इस अत्यंत ही महत्वपूर्ण व्याख्यान के लिए। मेरा एक छोटा सा अनुरोध है सर आपसे, आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रमेश जी, हम लोग इन सारे व्याख्यानों को एक पुस्तक के रूप में भी प्रकाशित करने की योजना बना रहे हैं, तो अगर इसको आप एक लेख के रूप में हमें दें तो हमारे लिए बड़ा अच्छा होगा। मैं आपसे जी थैंक यू सर।
इंग्लिश में होगा, हिंदी में नहीं हो पाएगा, बट आई विल डू दैट।
हाँ सर, बाइलिंगुअल देंगे आप, अंग्रेजी में दीजिए, हम उसी को प्रकाशित करेंगे।
ठीक है, आई विल बी हैप्पी टू डू दैट।
थैंक यू सो मच सर। अब मैं आज के अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन के लिए अपने विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलपति आदरणीय प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी को विनम्रता से आमंत्रित करता हूं। सर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है, थोड़ा अनम्यूट कर लीजिए प्लीज। जी सर।
Great occasion, great lecture from a great person.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm your friend. That is my greatness.
On the eve of 44th series of this webinar on Bharat ki Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, I have listened each and every sentence which you spoke on this occasion. The history, the way you compiled, the way it was presented, the way it was articulated, everything is excellent. And we never thought that all these things, they can be arranged in such a way so that even a simple reader, a simple listener, a person who does not know ABC of science can also understand the glory of Indian thinkers, Indian scientists in this journey in the global scenario. Although I am personally impressed with your accomplishments, I know that your administrative capabilities as a scientist, your contribution to the country, your own milestones, your own accomplishments, they all are the ideals for the young researchers in the field of science. As has been rightly pointed out by Professor Satyakam, your biodata, it will become a motivating force for all the young researchers in the field of science. They have to understand that how you progressed in such a short span of around 35 years, 35 to 40 years, covering almost all the dimensions. And I know that most of your students, they are rated very, very great scientists all over the globe. Wherever you go, your students are there. Wherever you go, the flag of India, it is kept high. Today we are fortunate enough to listen to you. My colleagues, they could listen to you. Since we got it recorded also, so already I think it is on Facebook Live. But even then, we will going to send it again to other places through which it can reach to larger number of our learners also. Because as far as our science programs are concerned, we do have around 15,000 learners with us. every year they take admission in our undergraduate programs, and around 6 to 7 thousand in the PG programs. So we see that this number, they will definitely be benefited. And particularly when we are talking about the Bharat Ka Amrit, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we see that what our contributions were there in all those areas which you highlighted, spanning from and naming all those people who contributed a lot in this sphere. Because freedom we got, but the progress during this freedom struggle, and by whom we got this progress, that you narrated. And the whole world, they looked at us. Whole globe, they looked at us. Starting from zero, and in the last slide also, you talked about all those revolutions. The compilation, the presentation, articulation, everything, it is for us to learn that how the things that we presented and how we can understand those things. My great salute to you, to a great scientist, to a great friend also, and to a great human being also. And I do know him since 2000. That first meeting I had been in Delhi. And he was,
1999, sir. 1999 October.
So 99 October, he remembers that date also. That too in a selection committee.
28th October, sir.
Great memory. Again, that one more thing I have to add. From then, I never forget his contributions. Good human being. Great scientists and great human beings. Both are being in one person, that is Ramesh Chandra. And continuously we have seen his glory, his experience, even I do remember when this MOU, which he was sharing with all of us from Russia, when I said to him in that meeting of Academic Council, can we be associated? He immediately rang that person and asked that person to speak to me. And that person also spoke to me, and this he said that he will also do an MOU with the IGNOU. So the same sort of friendship also institutional friendship that he maintains. Delhi University and IGNOU, we all have to work together. That is the greatness of a great scientist. And this all we have to emulate from him. Today I respectfully convey my sincere regards and respect for your historic presentation for IGNOU, for all of us, for our scientists, for our young learners, even those who are not scientists. For them also, it is a great experience to understand the growth of our science in the international arena. I respectfully, once again, thank him for his valuable time which is spared for all of us. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आदरणीय प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी। आपका सहयोग और मार्गदर्शन हमें हमेशा ही मिलता है, और आज अपने व्यस्त समय से समय निकालकर आप हमारे बीच हैं और अत्यंत ही महत्वपूर्ण अध्यक्षीय उद्बोधन दिया। आपका आशीर्वाद हमें आगे भी मिलता रहेगा, यह आशा है, और हम लोग इसी तरह से काम करते रहेंगे आपके कुशल निर्देशन में। अब मैं आज के धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए डॉक्टर सुरेश जी को आमंत्रित करता हूं।
नमस्कार माननीय कुलपति जी, आज के मुख्य अतिथि महोदय, माननीय समकुलपतिगण, प्राध्यापकगण और श्रोता बंधुओं। भारत की आजादी का उत्सव इंदिरा गांधी राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विश्वविद्यालय द्वारा चलाए जा रहे 75वें की श्रृंखला में मैं क्या अंतरराष्ट्रीय और माननीय सभापति ने आपको दिया, मैं आपको चंद्रा जी, आप आए और हमें आपने अपने ज्ञान और हमें बताया कि भारत कैसे गर्व, भारत जगत गुरु था, अगर विश्व में भारत जगत गुरु रहता लेकर के आप वैज्ञानिक विकास भारत का भूमिका रही है, उसको लेकर के आपने जीरो से लगाकर, तो आपने, मैं तो यह भी कहना चाह रहा हूं कि ऐसे महान देश में हमारा जन्म हुआ और आप सभी महान मनुष्यों के नाम को अपनाए। आज आपने से वर्तमान दौर में कोविड-19 समय में विज्ञान हमको मिला और पूरे देश पूरे एक साथ सबके साथ कंधे मिलाकर वैज्ञानिकों ने किया है और पूरे विश्व को उसकी देन जो हमने सहयोग किया है उसमें भी ऐसी भूमिका है। महोदय, आज आपके द्वारा आपने सभी वैज्ञानिकों के नाम गिनाए, मैं कहूंगा कि आप भी एक पूरे विश्व की असेट है, आप भी पूरे विश्व के लिए आपकी भी देन है, आपने भी विज्ञान में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका अदा की है, आपके शोधार्थी स्कॉलर भी बड़ी भूमिका विश्व के विज्ञान के विकास में योगदान दे रहे हैं। और माननीय कुलपति महोदय द्वारा आज जो कहा गया कि आज का जो आपका व्याख्यान है भी इग्नू के माध्यम से, क्योंकि इग्नू विश्व का सबसे बड़ा विश्वविद्यालय है, तो पूरे विश्व में ये आज आपका जो व्याख्यान है ये भी जाएगा और ये भी विश्व के वैज्ञानिक विकास में बड़े योगदान के रूप में ये आज भागीदारी करेगा। ऐसे प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी, आप हमारे मध्य आए, आपने अपने ज्ञान से हमें अभिभूत किया, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलपति, हमारे मार्गदर्शक, सतत प्रेरणा देने वाले ऐसे प्रोफेसर राव जी हमें सतत मार्गदर्शित करते रहते हैं, हमें सहयोग देते रहते हैं और आपके ही मार्गदर्शन में, आपके ही सहयोग से यह 75 व्याख्यानों की श्रृंखला चल रही है। महोदय, हम आपका धन्यवाद, बहुत आभार करते हैं। प्रवासी के माननीय निदेशक और माननीय समकुलपति प्रोफेसर जी, आप लगातार इन व्याख्यानों की श्रृंखला को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, विभिन्न विषयों के विशेषज्ञों को, विद्वानों को आमंत्रित कर रहे हैं, हमारे ज्ञान के क्षेत्र में वर्धन कर रहे हैं। ऐसे प्रोफेसर सत्यकांत जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। विश्वविद्यालय के प्रोफेसर आर.पी. दास जी, प्रोफेसर उमा कांजी लाल जी, प्रोफेसर सुमित्रा कुकरेती जी, आपका बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत सदा अपेक्षित है, आपका मिलता भी रहता है, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। इग्नू के सभी क्षेत्रीय केंद्रों के निदेशक महोदयगण, इग्नू के प्राध्यापकगण, सह प्राध्यापकगण और सभी श्रोता वृंद, सभी अकादमिक जगत से जुड़े आज प्रत्यक्ष और अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से जिन लोगों आज का यह व्याख्यान सुने, ऐसे सब बहुत आभार। विश्वविद्यालय के प्रशासनिक क्षेत्र से माननीय हमारे कुल सचिव, उपकुल सचिव, सहायक, इतने सबके बहुत आभार। वाली ज्ञान दर्शन स्वयं प्रभा फेसबुक, यूट्यूब लाइव के माध्यम से हो रहा है और ऐसे प्रसारण करने वाली टीम को, ऐसे सहयोग देने वाली टीम को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। हमारे संजय शाह जी और उनकी टीम तकनीकी सहयोग के लिए बहुत बहुत आभार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आज के कार्यक्रम के संचालक डॉक्टर सुशील तिवारी जी, आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत आभार। समय में ऑनलाइन यूट्यूब से
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर सुरेश जी। आज का कार्यक्रम अत्यंत ही ऐतिहासिक रहा। आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रमेश चंद्रा जी का उद्बोधन हमें प्राप्त हुआ और आज माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर नागेश्वर राव जी भी हमारे बीच रहे। तो मैं आप सबको नमस्कार करता हूं और अब मैं जैसा कि पहले से हम लोगों की परिपाटी है, कार्यक्रम का अंत जो है हम राष्ट्रगान से करते हैं। तो मैं आप सबसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि आप सब राष्ट्रगान के सम्मान में अपने स्थान पर खड़े हो जाएं और संजय जी कृपया राष्ट्रगान का संचालन करें।